Okay, in this example we're going to evaluate this question, and it's saying if z1 equals 2 minus 3i and z2 equals 1 plus 4i, we want to evaluate z1 plus z2, z1 minus z2, z1 z2, and z2 divided by z1. Okay, so for the first one, we are adding the complex numbers together. And you just simply add your real parts and your imaginary parts when you add complex numbers. So for this one, we get 3 plus I. Okay? And that'll be your answer there. So that's pretty simple. Same thing when you subtract. Okay, so this is 2 minus 3i minus 1 plus 4i. Expand the negative out. We get 2 minus 3i minus 1 minus 4i. Same deal here, okay? You add your real values, you add your complex values, so what we end up getting is 1 minus 7i for that one. Okay, with the multiplication, same sort of thing, you just have to be careful when you multiply the complex parts, the I, you get I squared, which in fact turns into negative 1. So what we can do here is we go 2 minus 3i and we're multiplying that with 1 plus 4i. Okay, so if we take the 2, multiply with the 1, 2 times 4i plus 8i, minus 3i times 1, minus 3i, and be careful here, negative 3 times positive 4 is negative 12, I times I is I squared, so you end up getting negative 12i squared. Now, we know from our introduction of complex numbers that I squared is negative 1. So what we end up getting here is negative 12 times negative 1, which turns into a positive 12. Okay? So we end up getting here is 14 plus 5i. So that's our final answer for that one. Now, with the division, this is a little bit more complex. Okay? So we're taking z2 and we're dividing it with z1, which is 2 minus 3i. When you divide complex numbers, you want to have your denominator, you want to make it into a real. So you need to multiply by its conjugate. Because when you multiply a complex number with its conjugate, it actually forms a real value. So the conjugate of 2 minus 3i is 2 plus 3i. We divide that with 2 minus 3i, and we do the same here, 2 plus 3i. Okay, now don't forget what you get when you multiply two complex numbers conjugate, it's just the real part squared plus the imaginary part squared. Okay? Or should be the real part squared minus the imaginary part squared, which turns into a positive because you get I squared and that turns into a plus. So I'm just going to leave the numerator as it is. And here, all it is, when you multiply two conjugates, just look at this number, square it, look at this number, put a plus sign, square it, and that's what you get. That's the easiest way I can explain that. Okay, now we've already done, we haven't done this, we've done 2 minus 3i, so don't go ahead and write this in up here. Okay, so we have to expand this the same way we did up here, except be careful, that's a plus, that was a minus. Some students will make that error, thinking, oh, I've already done this part from there, but no, that's a negative, that's a positive. So what do we get here? We get 2 plus 3i plus 8i, okay, plus 12i squared. Okay, that's all being divided by 13. Remember, I squared is negative 1, so here what we get is 2 plus 11i minus 12, all being divided by 13. Okay, now we simply get negative 10 plus 11i, all being divided by 13 as our final answer. Okay, so there it is. That was the example. If z1 equals 2 minus 3i and z2 equals 1 plus 4i, we evaluate z1 plus z2, z1 minus z2, z1 times z2 and z2 divided by z1.